Welcome to the 10 Mile River Scout Museum. We have exhibits on the history of the 10 Mile River Scout camps in the local area. On this self-guided, 15-minute tour, you will visit all of our major exhibits. This tour has 29 stops, all identified on the map given to you. When requested, press hard in the middle of the hot video viewer screen with your thumb to pause the narration, go to the next stop, and press the screen again with your thumb to resume the narration. Pause the narration. Go to stop 1 and resume. Stop 1. TMR Reservation, 1927 to 1957. The 10 Mile River Scout Camps was purchased by the Boy Scout Foundation of Greater New York in October, 1927. The photo is of President Franklin D. Roosevelt visiting TMR in August, 1933. Roosevelt was president of the Boy Scout Foundation from 1922 to 1938, and led the effort to acquire the 10 Mile River Scout Camp's property. This showcase contains TMR neckerchiefs, pennants, patches and other artifacts from this period. Until the mid-1950s, TMR had 5 summer camps, one for each of the 5 New York City boroughs. Scouts typically attended the borough camp for the borough their troop met in. Pause the narration. Go to stop 2 and resume. Stop 2. Brooklyn Council Camps, 1928 to 1957. The photo is of Tahlequah Lodge, headquarters of the Brooklyn Scout Camps in the 1930s. This showcase contains neckerchiefs, patches, pennants and artifacts from this period. Before 1938, Brooklyn Scouts earned the Teepee and Canoe Award for completing various scoutcraft and service requirements. Pause the narration. Go to stop 3 and resume. Stop 3. Before 10 Mile River. The first New York City Boy Scout summer camp was on Hunter's Island in Pelham Bay Park, the Bronx, in 1911. Brooklyn Council established a camp at Carr's Pond, Harriman State Park, in 1913. Staten Island Council organized a camp on Lake Hopatcong, New Jersey, in 1913. By 1917, all 5 New York City boroughs had camps on the Conohawkee Lakes in Harriman State Park. Due to increased congestion at the Conohawkee Lakes through the 1920s, the Boy Scout Foundation started searching for a permanent summer camp for the New York City Scouts, adequate for all time. Pause the narration. Go to stop 4 and resume. Stop 4. The Boy Scout Foundation of Greater New York. The 10 Mile River Civilian Conservation Corps Camp. Franklin D. Roosevelt organized the Boy Scout Foundation of Greater New York in 1922, to coordinate fundraising for the 5 New York City borough councils, manage the summer camps at the Conohawkee Scout Camps, and organize citywide activities like the 1936 Boy Scout-O-Rama in Madison Square Garden. Roosevelt was able to recruit many New York City businessmen to join the Boy Scout Foundation and support New York City Scouting. As President of the United States, Roosevelt organized the Civilian Conservation Corps, to provide conservation-related jobs for mostly young unemployed men. He notably gave the Boy Scouts the credit for the idea behind the CCC. From 1933 to 1936, CCC Camp 10 Mile River at today's headquarters camp improved camp roads, built fire breaks, and reduced fire hazards all over TMR. Pause the narration. Go to stop 5 and resume. Stop 5. Bronx Scout Camps, 1929 to 1957. The photo is of the Camp Ranaqua waterfront. This showcase contains neckerchiefs, patches, and artifacts from this period. Before 1938, Bronx Scouts earned the Green Felt Arrowhead Award for completing scoutcraft requirements. Bronx Scouts wore the black and green felt beanies while in camp. Pause the narration. Go to stop 6 and resume. Stop 6. The TMR Borough Camps. Brooklyn Scout Camps. See the hand-drawn 1952 TMR map. In the 1930s, the Brooklyn Scout Camps were the largest at TMR, with over 1,000 scouts each 2-week period. Pause the narration. Go to stop 7 and resume. Stop 7. Manhattan Council Camps. The photo is of scouts attending Camp Manhattan in the 1930s. This showcase contains neckerchiefs, patches, neckerchief slides and artifacts from this period. Before its acquisition in 1929, the camp property was a kosher girls' youth camp. Pause the narration. Go to stop 8 and resume. Stop 8. Campman. Photos of Campman, the Queensboro Camp, from 1930 to 1953. The Tower of Friendship, one of the most recognizable landmarks at TMR, still stands today. Pause the narration. Go to stop 9 and resume. Stop 9. Camp Manhattan and Camp Ranaqua. Photos of Camp Manhattan, the Manhattan Borough Camp, and of Camp Ranaqua, the Bronx Borough Camp. The Ranaqua Blockhouse was one of the most recognizable buildings at TMR. Pause the narration. Go to stop 10 and resume. Stop 10. We're off to TMR. Brooklyn Scouts were the first to attend TMR in 1928. They took the Erie Railroad to Tustin Station and hiked to Tahlequah Lodge to check in for camp. Their luggage was shipped separately via Railway Express. Troops from other boroughs typically took buses to camp. The Red Apple Rest was a favorite rest stop for the long bus ride to camp. Pause the narration. Go to stop 11 and resume. Stop 11. Staten Island Council Camp, 1929 to 1957. The photo is of Staten Island Scouts in the old Camp Aquahonga Dining Hall. This showcase contains neckerchiefs and a pennant from old Camp Aquahonga. Pause the narration. Go to stop 12 and resume. Stop 12. Queens Council Camps, 1930 to 1957. The photo is of Stag Hall, Campman, built in 1902. It was used as a hunting lodge before the Crystal Lake Tract was acquired by the Boy Scout Foundation of Greater New York in 1929. It was then used as Campman headquarters. This showcase contains neckerchiefs, patches and artifacts from Campman and the succeeding camps, Camp Lakeside, Camp Central, and Camp Carnican. Pause the narration. Go to stop 13 and resume. Stop 13. Slide Farm Neckerchief Slides. For almost 40 years, the Slide Farm, on Route 97, was operated by Roland Flora and his wife Louise for the purpose of manufacturing hand-carved neckerchief slides. Campers hiked to the Slide Farm to place their order and picked up their slides at the end of their stay in camp. Louise designed and painted the slides, while Roland carved them. Many TMR camp staffs ordered staff neckerchief slides from the Slide Farm. Pause the narration. Go to stop 14 and resume. Stop 14. Sea Scouting at TMR. The photo is of the Landship Amical at Campman. The Amical was a two-story building built like a ship, with bunks, cabins and a wheelhouse. This showcase contains photos, patches and artifacts related to Sea Scouting at TMR. Sea Scouts were not Boy Scouts, and had a separate program based on nautical skills. Bronx Sea Scouts were based at the Landship Jonas Bronk on Lake Nyanku. Pause the narration. Go to stop 15 and resume. Stop 15. The Order of the Arrow. The photo is of Scouts being inducted into the Order of the Arrow at TMR. This showcase contains neckerchiefs, patches and artifacts from the 5 original New York City Order of the Arrow lodges, Ranaqua, Shushuga, Swanaki, Manhattan, and Aquahongian. Each borough camp had its own lodge. The OA played a large part in the daily life of the camp. Arrowmen directed traffic, parked vehicles, served as guides to camp visitors, cleared tent sites, maintained camp traditions and organized campfires. Pause the narration. Go to stop 16 and resume. Stop 16. TMR post-1957 and today. The photos show TMR in the 1960s and 1970s. Pause the narration. Go to stop 17 and resume. Stop 17. TMR Reservation, 1960s and 1970s. This showcase contains TMR neckerchiefs, patches, mugs, slides and artifacts from the 1960s and 1970s. In the mid-1960s, TMR introduced self-reliant camping. In some camps, Scouts stayed in tent sites instead of open-air cabins and prepared their meals in their sites, instead of eating them in dining halls. Pause the narration. Go to stop 18 and resume. Stop 18. TMR Reservation, 1970s and 1980s. The photo is the famous shot taken at Indian Cliffs in the 1960s. This showcase contains TMR neckerchiefs, patches, mugs, slides and artifacts from the 1970s and 1980s. Pause the narration. Go to stop 19 and resume. Stop 19. TMR Reservation, 1990s to the present. This showcase contains TMR neckerchiefs, patches, slides and artifacts from the 1990s to the present. Pause the narration. Go to stop 20 and resume. Stop 20. TMR Archaeology. This showcase contains arrowheads and other stone artifacts from 3 rock shelters identified on TMR property. Small hunting parties of Native Americans traveling down the Delaware River used rock shelters while fishing and hunting. Pause the narration. Go to stop 21 and resume. Stop 21. The Pioneering Era, Coins. This frame contains coins found on camp property dating from the late 1700s and early to mid-1800s. This was the lumbering era in the region. Trees were cut down, dragged to the Delaware River by oxes, tied together into rafts, and floated down the river to markets. Pause the narration. Go to stop 22 and resume. Stop 22. The Pioneering Era, Artifacts. These are metal artifacts found on TMR property dating back to the Pioneering Era. Note the oxen shoes and axe heads. Pause the narration. Go to stop 23 and resume. Stop 23. Bernie Sussman Memorial Exhibit. This showcase contains photos and artifacts from Curator Emeritus Bernie Sussman. Bernie served as museum curator from 1999 to 2012. Pause the narration. Go to stop 24 and resume. Stop 24. Wildlife of TMR. The posters and showcase illustrate wildlife found at TMR during the 2014 Upper Delaware BioBlitz. Pause the narration. Go to stop 25 and resume. Stop 25. Campman Catholic Chapel stained glass window. This is the stained glass window from the back of the Immaculate Heart of Mary Chapel at Campman, dedicated in 1949. It was removed by volunteers and moved to this location in 2004. Pause the narration. Go to stop 26 and resume. Stop 26. Religion at TMR. This showcase contains literature, patches and photos relating to religion at TMR. Pause the narration. Go to stop 27 and resume. Stop 27. The Donut Farm. The Donut Farm was a small, family-owned restaurant off of Route 97 that was popular with TMR campers and staff, from 1928 to 1972. While widely known for its famous donuts, the Donut Farm also sold luncheon meat sandwiches, hamburgers, peanut butter sandwiches, cake and ice cream. The Donut Machine, piano and deerhead were from the Donut Farm. The museum acquired these items soon after we opened in the early 2000s. Pause the narration. Go to stop 28 and resume. Stop 28. Dignitaries on our reservation. TMR has had many famous visitors over the years. Franklin D. Roosevelt visited as Governor of New York State and President of the United States. New York State Governors Thomas E. Dewey, W. Averell Harriman, Herbert H. Lehman and Nelson Rockefeller visited TMR. New York City Mayor William O'Dwyer visited in 1946. Pause the narration. Go to stop 29 and resume. Stop 29. 1969 Woodstock Music Festival. This showcase contains newspaper articles, photos and artifacts from the 1969 Woodstock Music Festival, less than 3 miles from TMR. This tour is over. We hope that you enjoyed it. Please return the hot video player and earbuds to a museum staffer.